Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I'm going to try to make it through this video without having to stop it and redo it, because the dogs are going crazy. It has been raining all day long, and they have gone outside for short periods of time, but they don't love being out in the rain, especially Tucker. So they've been like racing around the house. So I've been trying to film videos and barking and stuff. But Radley is currently right behind me, standing up, I think. There he is. Hello, Boo. Where is his head? He was in my booktube video a couple minutes ago, so he feels quite the star. But, yeah, they've had like a crazy day. So I don't know. I'm hoping I can make it through this video and we can be peaceful and calm while I'm reading this and that they don't start going crazy. So I'm going to read 2 meditations today. I'm going to read the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone, and then I'm also going to read The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. I have an audience right now of 1. PP is sitting right next to me, and Tucker is literally standing and staring at me while I read this. Like, yes, what's the meditation for today? So the meditation for March 20th is trying to be happy. If only we'd stop trying to be happy, we'd have a pretty good time. Edith Wharton. We can spend a lot of time, money, and energy trying to make ourselves happy. Eating fancy meals, going on expensive vacations, throwing big parties, buying nice clothes. We think these things will bring us happiness, but often our happiness is short-lived, lasting about as long as it takes to get heartburn from eating too much, return to work from vacation, clean up after the party, or realize that we don't look as nice in our clothes as we'd hoped we'd find. If we could learn to, or we'd hoped we would, if we could learn to find happiness from moment to moment in the small things of life, we'd always have a pretty good time. I don't need something outside of myself to make me happy. Happiness is a choice I can make under almost any circumstance. It's so weird how every time I read one of these meditations, it's like almost something that like identical to what I was talking about the night before in my vlog. And I was talking a lot about this last night, that, you know, I like nice things. I do. There's a lot of things in life that, I mean, you know, I would love to drive a Porsche. You know, there's a lot of houses that I would love to live in, and there's vacations that are way beyond my means that I would love to take, right? But I realized today that I don't have to have those things. If I am blessed enough to have those things, then that's great, right? But those aren't the things that truly matter as I've like grown up over time. And I think that there was a period in my life, I would say like in my early 30s, where I really, I don't know, even my late 20s, I think, too, you know, where I really thought that stuff was important. And I thought to some degree, it was so funny because I was talking to my sponsor about this today. We were talking about cars, where I really thought that those things defined me, or that it meant that I had made it to some degree if I had this or if I had that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like wanting a luxury bag or a piece of jewelry, or, you know, to go on a certain vacation. Like vacations I love to take because those are moments and memories, and you get to get away and you have new experiences, and I love all of that, right? But, you know, for each person I think it's completely different. But day in and day out, those are not the things that truly make me happy. And the reality is that when I focus on those things, like I'm saving all this money to get this, or I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, then I miss out on the small things, right? Like the hilarity of my dogs running around and chasing each other because it's been rainy today. Like I miss out on that. I miss out on how important each moment is, you know? And as you get older, what you realize is that, you know, you don't have many moments left in this world, and so you want to cherish those moments that you're going to have as you go forward. You know, my friend Tanya and I, we talk all the time about making new memories, creating new memories, and isn't that what life should be about? And those are, you know, the priceless pieces of life. And I know that to be true, but sometimes I struggle with that, and I go back and forth, you know? And I think all of us like to have nice things and new things and whatever, or many of us do. I don't think everybody does, but I think there's many of us out there that do. And I think the thing is that if I've learned anything in life, what I would say is, and this is just my point of view, just my opinion, is that there is nothing wrong with wanting to have something nice, you know? Like, I think that we have this idea that if somebody, you know, let's say, you know, drives a Mercedes and, you know, has a Louis Vuitton bag and, you know, like a Rolex watch, that they can't be a good person. And I don't believe that to be true whatsoever. I don't believe because you're a good person, or you're a humble person, or a person of integrity, or you're doing good works in the world, right? That means that you at the same time can't enjoy nice things. But I do think it's in realizing that those nice things don't really matter at the end of the day, you know? You can't take them with you, you just can't. And so then if you can't take them with you, what is life really about? Enjoying them for that moment. I mean, I love when it says in here, well, we didn't make it through. The dog started running around a little bit, so I had to tame him down. Okay. But I like this part in here where it says, we think these things will bring us happiness, but often our happiness is short-lived, lasting about as long as it takes to get heartburn from eating too much, return to work from vacation, clean up after the party, or realize that we don't look as nice in our clothes as we'd hoped we would. I think those are kind of sad, you know, like when you, and it's true, like I can't tell you how many times I've bought something and been really excited about it, you know, to like go to a party or some dinner, and I bring it home only to like look at it in the mirror and be like, this looks stupid, I'm too heavy to wear this, I'm not gonna wear it. And then I start putting myself down, and then really it turns into something that I didn't want it to be anyway, you know? Or like before I go on vacation, like I have to try so hard because like I make lists of things I have to get done before I go on vacation, not really focusing on when I'm coming back from vacation. You know what I mean? Because I want to just enjoy it and stay in the present moment. And I think it's so important to just stay in the present moment. You know, last night it was interesting. One of my friends said to me, I was at a meeting last night, and she said to me afterwards, we were talking, and she'd said it during the meeting, and then afterwards we were talking about it, and I asked her to explain it. And she said that, you know, like her sponsor says to her, where are your feet? And I was like, can you explain that a little bit to me? And she was like, yeah, like I'm always thinking like in the future, I'm always thinking in the forward, like the next thing that like my next worry, my next problem. And then my sponsor will say, well, where are your feet? You know? And I was like, oh my God, that's so fantastic. Like, where are your feet, right? I said, I'm gonna steal that from you. She's like, you could use it. Yeah, go use it. So anyway, but I love that saying, you know, like, where are your feet? Stop worrying about what's gonna happen a month from now. Stop worrying about what's gonna happen 3 months from now. Well, I think that also goes for the things that we look forward to, whether it's vacations or Christmas, you know, or the perfect bag or the perfect car. Then we get the perfect bag and we get the perfect car and we realize it doesn't really make us that happy. And then we have to have a more perfect car and a more, you know, it just is this. And so slow it down, stay in the moment, and just enjoy each moment as we should, I think, and really realize, you know, how important each of those small details that I talk about on here on a regular basis is. It's funny because like as I'm reading this, the verbiage of kind of this thing is so funny. We think these things will bring us happiness. And as I'm reading that, it reminds me of one of my very favorite books ever called Summer. And I actually think I read it on my BookTube channel, but if not, I'll read it. I think it would be more appropriate to read it on this channel now. But it's this children's book, and I loved it when I was a kid, and then, or whenever I found it, and then I bought it, and it's like this boy and girl in summer, and they're like running around, and it's like, we love the things that summer brings. It brings the heat, it brings the sun, and it's all this kind of stuff, and at the end of it, it's like them and their pup. They refer to their dog as their pup. They're like, the pup does this, the pup does that, and, at the end of it, like, they are riding on top of this bale of hay, like this farmer is driving by, and it's like all three of them are asleep on this bale of hay. And you know, it's interesting when I think about that book and why that book is like one of my favorite books of life, and yet it's all of these just like simple moments of summer, of like splashing each other with hoses and eating an ice cream cone, and you know, like being way out in the country in the middle of the night and catching lightning bugs and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's like all those things that defined my youth that had absolutely nothing to do with money or importance or, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Stature, you know, or whatever, or title. It's like none of that stuff mattered, you know? And yet I look at those things, and those things, if you listen to my vlogs, you know, I tell those stories time and time again. They were priceless to me, right? So I look at my life today, and it's things like being with my in-laws and dancing, you know, to music late at night, or, you know, Alex and I having a really great date night, or driving around with my best friend and having a fountain pop, or watching my crazy dogs run around the house, you know. All of that, I think, is priceless. It doesn't mean that we can't like the nice things, but I think that, you know, we have to put it all in perspective and see what's truly important. All right, I like that meditation. So let's read the next meditation, and that is by Melody Beatty. March 20th, releasing. Let fears slip away. Release any negative, limiting, or self-defeating beliefs buried in your subconscious too. These beliefs may be about life, love, or yourself. Beliefs create reality. Let go. From as deep within as your fears, resentments, and negative beliefs are stored. Let them all go. Let the belief or feeling surface. Accept it. Surrender to it. Feel the discomfort or unrest. Then let it go. Let new beliefs replace the old. Let peace and joy and love replace fear. Give yourself and your body permission to let go of fears, resentments, and negative beliefs. Release that which is no longer useful. Trust that you are being healed and prepared for receiving what is good. Today, God, help me become willing to let go of old beliefs and feelings that may be hurting me. Gently take them from me and replace them with new beliefs and feelings. I do deserve the best life, and I do deserve the best life and love have to offer. Help me believe that. Okay, first of all, I want to say really quick, since this just came up, that when I talk about affirmations that I do on a daily basis, like that is a good example of an affirmation. I do deserve the best life and love have to offer. Like, to say that is an affirmation, it's affirming the positive about your life. I deserve good things. I deserve love, because I am a good person, because I am a good son, because I am a good husband, because I am a good friend, to say those things. And you have to work on believing them. Those things are hard to say at first because we just don't believe those things about ourselves sometimes. I love this meditation, and I'll tell you why. And I don't necessarily call it releasing. I call it changing the tape in our heads, and something that somebody said to me years ago and I just picked up and stuck with, and I love it. It's about, I have this tape in my head that I run of all of, like at some point, excuse me, at some point, it was all the negative things that people had said about me in my life. And I would run that tape through my head constantly. Whenever I wanted to try something new, whether it was write a book or, audition for a play or something back in the day, or, whatever it was, ask somebody out on a date, call up a new friend, this fear would run through my head, and it was this tape of people won't like you, people don't like you, people this, people that, and it was all this basis of social anxiety and fear that just kind of came out and was like overriding this, this tape in my head that was so disgusting, like you're not worth it, you're not good enough, you're not a good person, all these kinds of things that just are absolute crap and are not true, and there's no reason why I should allow that to run in my head, nor should you. And so it's about changing that tape in our head, It's about changing the direction of how we think about ourselves. Positive affirmations are one way to do that, by really starting to affirm the positives about ourselves and telling ourselves the things that are true, that we know are true. And if you don't believe that there are good things about yourself, ask somebody that you trust and say, tell me one good thing about myself. And that may be something silly. It may be like, well, you have a good sense of humor, or you make good apple pies, or, I don't know, you always take my phone calls. But at least that's one true thing about yourself that's really, really good. It's about changing the tape in your head and saying, I'm no longer prescribing to this idea that I am a piece of crap. I'm just not. Life is too short. This is not a dress rehearsal. I say that time and time and time again. We do not need to sit in self-loathing deprecation, okay? Of just beating ourselves up over and over again and by these tapes that run in our head based on things that other people have said and done to us. There's no value in that whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I share this a lot. It's like the movie Pretty Woman, when she's laying there and he says to her, you're so beautiful. And she says, the bad stuff is easier to believe. When someone tells you something long enough, you start to believe it. That's where we write our tape. Those are the lyrics to our soundtrack. It's time to change the soundtrack of our lives and start to believe a different tune, to start singing a different song, so to speak, and to start singing a song of self-worth and value and love. And we have to love ourselves first, And I think maybe in life that might be one of the greatest lessons that we all learn, because I think it's constant, this devil and angel on our shoulder that go back and forth, One's telling us that we're worthless and the other one's telling us that we're the most wonderful thing in the entire world. Which do we choose to believe? And I think that often we go back and forth on day-to-day basis. I know I do, right? But what really do we have to gain by beating ourselves up time and time again? There's no value in that whatsoever, And so for me, it's about changing that tape in my head. And that sometimes takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen like that, It's about a lot of positive affirmation. It's a lot of believing in myself. It's about when people say nice things to me, for me to really believe that. When people tell me nice things about myself, for me to listen to what they have to say. It's not saying that I don't listen to the criticism and I don't listen to the critical, words that people say, if they're said to me in a nice way. I think that that's important. We have to improve upon ourselves and learn from the things that have happened to us. But I'm not talking about about that right now. I'm talking about listening to the positive, focusing on the positive, listening to the good things about ourselves, you know? And if we don't believe it and somebody says something to us, to say to them, I don't believe that. Can you go into that a little bit more? I know that sounds crazy, right? It sounds like selfish and self-centered, but maybe we need to hear that. Maybe in those moments we need to be a little selfish and self-centered so that we can start focusing on what people are saying to us and we can start to believe it. Anyway, I think those are two really great meditations. I'm going to leave you guys on that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you. I was going to say I love yourself. I do. I love myself and I love you. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.